an extra coin. Then also I'm going to tackle a little bit on key issue to do with investment and entrepreneurship, because basically as a retiree, you have an option if either to do passive activities that will generate income to you, or you have to engage in that hard task of doing your own business and generate some money. Of course, the opportunities are that comes with entrepreneurship, and also we shall learn about key components that really help an entrepreneur to succeed. And finally, I shall suggest some of few business ideas, and that is with the caveat that contextually in our nation, Kenya, because in such a forum, probably have even people who are outside our economy, and the opportunity that we may discuss today may somehow be unique to our nation and our economy, and it may not necessarily help or apply to people who are outside our jurisdiction. One thing I want to mention when we talk about retirement, this when somebody who has been working to earn some income now is not able to continue working. And there are many factors that can come into play. And one which is main one is the issue of age, because anytime you get engaged in any employment, you know there's a point of starting and the point of exiting. So there are many factors that will cause someone to leave the employment, but again, it may not necessarily age, and because the issue that can come like disability, you can be out of sickness, there can be redundancy. That if that happens, then you as a person, your capacity to continually earn income becomes affected. So this is a transition from your career to any other engagement or ratio. And actually, the main issue that happens that when you find yourself in this situation, your income levels have to come down, your lifestyle has to change, your relationship will be affected significantly. So it's a good aspect that whether you are even those who are in business, you will not be active throughout your career, I mean through your investment and business. And that's why some of people who are in business, they don't even think there is importance of planning for their retirement. However, it's very critical that even those who are self-employed, they think about how they can retire, because they will not have the same strength, the same capacity, the same power to pursue opportunity when the age catch up with them, or when unfortunate instance comes like sickness or disability, they're not able to actively engage in their businesses. And some of the forms of retirement, as I mentioned earlier, can talk of age, can be due to sickness, disability, redundancy. But what I really love is when you retire by choice. You make a conscious decision that at this particular point in time, I don't really want to be really active in working. However, what I've accumulated or what I've set as an investment to me is going to sustain my lifestyle at the same level or even far much better. And most people who are in formal employment, they don't retire by choice. Most of them, they retire because the statutory timeline has come to pass. But it's very important that even those who are in formal employment, you can realize that other aspects can come along the way. And it's very important that everyone determine when to retire by choice. Issue of redundancy is very common, and redundancy not necessarily being laid off, because your skill may no longer be required in particular industry, such that even if you've been let redundant by a company, you may not necessarily get an opportunity to do in that line. And especially nowadays when technology is really replacing many people, such that where human effort was required, now we use technology. And some of the reality check that we need to consider is that it's true that future has a tendency to arrive sooner than expected. You may say you're going to retire in the next 20 years, 30 years, 15 years, and you see it's a very far distance time. But in the reality that you realize that time has catch up with you, and if you not have plan to be able to put your things in order, then that time comes as a surprise, and then you have nothing to do. And I can easily say that every day, every minute that is passing, in a week that's passing, the month is passing, you are crossing your time to retirement. And of course, it will dawn to you that if you are employed, for instance, you won't be going to work like forever. There'll come a time when you don't have to go to that office. You don't have those powers anymore. If you had a lot of benefit that comes from your employment or your office that you hold, then those powers may no longer be there. The level of influence you have, the employment of the industry or the society may be affected. And where things become worse is where also your cash flow, the capacity to do your things, is also affected. And it's very important that as we are having this discourse today, ask yourself, like, how do you wish your retirement to look like? Some of things that I'll mention briefly is that the life you live when you are not working, especially when you have an annual leave, and you spend the whole month, you have 24 days, that days, that kind of life you live is an indicator of how you live when you retire. Those people are wise enough, they take advantage of time, take advantage of opportunity, and they ensure that they use their days of leave well to be able to engage in the market, learn new skills, engage in a trade, so that by the time they quit working, they have already understood some of the dynamics that comes with self-employment or opportunities or even investments. So you lessen your curve of learning, because some people who go starting their investment or businesses at a late age, and then they have to go through learning curve, trying things and failing some, becomes very difficult for them to actualize their goals. Because if you want to start a business at 60, you don't know even slightest idea on how to start a business, then it becomes tragedy, because you're going to be demotivated, you're going to lose your capital, and chances are high that even that venture may not succeed. So when you are employed, those who are working in the offices, try to ensure that you trace your annual leave well, even the hours that you may have after you're done with office work. You can learn something, you can go to market, interact with people who are doing business, you can learn, you can go to platforms, so you can learn more about investment, so that now that accumulation of knowledge and skill, it will be helpful in days to come. Unfortunately, it's within our African culture that we try to rely on our children when we get old, or support of friends. We like to have sympathy, but I think it's wise those people who plan adequately and on time, they will not really rely to be supported or put burdens to their children that, yes, I educated you, I invested in you, I need your support. You don't have to rely on your relatives, on your brothers, your sisters, because even at their own, they have their own responsibility. And again, there's dignity that comes with labor, your personal labor. So when you also take more begging mode, then also you lose your dignity and your respect in your family and within society. So it's important that as we are thinking that, yes, people are flourishing, and even if at that point in time I'm retiring, that I don't have resources, people come and help me. I think it's a bad attitude. It's a bad mentality, and I think it's a challenge to us that we should ensure that the life that we want to live in our latter days, we plan them in advance. And most of us, in one way or the other, we have interacted with those people who have retired. And I can honestly say that there are many negative things that happen to those people who retire. And most of them, they even die early because they were not prepared well mentally, that one day they shall leave that office. That's why when you see some people, even after retiring, they're still calling their former colleagues, they still go visiting those offices. They want to go and read newspaper in those offices. And I think if you're not well prepared, don't say that I'm 30, don't say that I'm 40. Retirement is going to come, it's going to catch up with you. You need to ensure that you prepare yourself mentally early enough that at one point I shall retire. Also, those people who retire, some of them die early because they don't have sufficient finances to bankroll their lifestyles, to bankroll their families. Then it becomes a challenge, and some may end up lapsing into depression and other develop terminal illness, which also becomes very expensive to them, to their families, and to their society. To the society, because if they develop things like hypertension, diabetes, and then they go to seek very expensive medical treatment, something that could have been avoided by planning well, then it puts also burden to their families, it puts stress to the society because you have to contribute for them, something that can be really avoided when people take their time and plan for their retirement. It's important to know that your workstation is not really permanent. At some point you have to exit, and it's important that we take responsibility of our own future. I will also mention a few issues that comes with aspect of our retirement, because when we are looking at forms of retirement, one of the aspects I mentioned is about retirement by choice, which to me is very beneficial. And I've noted many people who are candid and they are very focused on taking early retirement. There are specific issues they want to actualize before, because if you say I want to be in business and you are at age of 45, learning curve to any successful venture may take even 5 years. So your business may start kicking well if you succeed at age of 50. Then that's where you start investing. Then by the time it picks up and there are other market dynamics, it becomes very difficult for you to actualize your desired goal and even have successful retirement even at 60. But when sometimes you decide to retire early, either you have planned in advance, you have sufficient capital, you have support system, at age of 40, then within practically within 5 years, like 45, your business picks up. By age of 55 or 60, you retire from the business as well. And of course, there are benefits that comes with that aspect of retirement. Things like you have good mental health, because you're able to take your time to eat well, to exercise. Also, you have more time to connect with your families and friends, your natural relationship, because some people who also overstay in their workplaces, when they retire, they also have a problem of connecting with their friends. And at the end of the day, that's the people that you need even when you're at old age. So it's important that those people also take their time and have conscious decision that they want to another retirement. There's some benefit that come with that. Other issues like you can be able to pursue other areas of your personal interest, because some of people that are working today, or some of us who are working, we are not there by real choice or not even our passions. We found there because of our area of training that even was not decided by ourselves. But we feel there's some aspect you want to fulfill, like you want to pursue specific professional interests, you want to go to creative art, you want to go to music, you want to go to writing, but you've been held up in that government office, you've been held up in that bank, and you feel you want to release yourself. So if you plan yourself properly, we have successive cases where people have done that and they have succeeded. Briefly, I want to say that what leads us now to what are the options that we have to generate income after retirement, but this can also be before retirement. But I want to say those people wait until they retire. I'm saying that entrepreneurship journey is a challenging one. It's not easy, and most people may not really want to do that, and they may think they want now to do what we call passive investment. They can take their pension and go and invest in capital market, for instance, and they buy things like shares, they buy bonds, they buy unit trust, and expect that at the end of the day, they are going to have very stable but lean income coming from as a dividend, as interest from the investment. So the option that most of people we have is on entrepreneurship and also investment, where when you talk about entrepreneurship, that's where you set up your own business. You start working on a project or program or a business idea, and after you take your good time, you put your capital, you watch it grow, then you're able to get some source of income. But if you don't have that capacity, if you don't have that tenacity, if your attitude is not light, and your age may not be able to catch up fighting with foreign employees, working with employees, then you can opt to go to passive investment and buy things like bonds, mutual funds. You can also venture in real estate, and then you'll be assured that there'll be a steady income that's going to come to you. But that does not limit you, that you cannot venture into a hybrid model whereby you can say, yes, I can start a small business in this particular sector. I can start farming as a business. And also some of the money that I have, if maybe you are retiring, you can be able to put it into other investments that are passive. Well, which is better option? Do you go for entrepreneurship? You start your own business? Do you do investment? I think in any of these, there is what you call risk, because either path that you choose, you're going to be confronted by some uncertainty and some risk. But of course, one of the overlap, or that's something that is just the denominator in both aspects, whether you go to an entrepreneurship or investment, you're going to be confronted by a financial loss based on how you manage your risk. So as an entrepreneur, if we want to take entrepreneurship path, know what it costs for you in terms of startup costs, how you're going to do product development, how you're going to ensure that you develop your market, and also confront external forces like regulation by the government, social issues, environmental issues, technological issues that can come and either enable you or frustrate your business. Again, in entrepreneurship journey, there's high potential of reward. The risk is high, but the reward is also high. And when we say also risk is high, also chance of failure are also on the higher side. But of course, when we talk about investments, because investments deal with professional, and most of those programs are highly regulated, your risk is quite moderate, or it is highly reduced. However, the results will be somehow moderate, to be lower compared to those who take the big risk and go to start their own businesses. some of the risks that probably you can get, because even those who invest in our Kenyan capital market, especially in equity market, stock market, you know that sometimes they have great market shifts. The stock prices may plummet, and you see that you maybe invest in a stock like Safaricom at a price of maybe 40, and maybe 1 year down the line, and so investment then come down to about 30 shillings. That's a huge margin that you may lose. However, for those who are in retirement, my honest advice has been, you go for stable investments, stable stocks, stable shares, stable bonds, where you're very certain that even if there are market shifts, there are fluctuations, you're almost certain that what you expect in terms of return will not be highly affected. And more importantly, because whether you are in entrepreneurship or in investment, what you're looking at is the issue of return and preservation of your capital. If you start a business and your capital is 1 million, despite all other aspects and benefit you can get, you'd wish that particular capital is preserved. When you invest the same thing, you would want to preserve your capital. Those who choose the path of entrepreneurship and start their business, there are many options that you can have, that you can start as a clean idea, as new idea. You do a startup, you develop your business plan, you come up with small but team that's going to help you drive your agenda, and you can use your own funds and external funds. But of course, there are other options that you can have, that you can also look at other existing business and you see how you can be able to benefit. You can choose to work with somebody as a partner, and you learn some skills that can help you now mutate your own business. Or even in that other people associate business or from other partners, you can even acquire that business. You don't have to start from scratch. If you want to maybe to start a kinyozi and you don't know how to go about it, you can even buy out somebody who has an existing business, of course, after doing the right valuation, and don't have to start from scratch, because also that one will also help you to lower the learning curve, because for you to succeed in any business, you have to go through a certain period of time where you're going to learn a lot until you stabilize. Also, you can look for opportunities in the established markets, like franchise. You can do consulting. There are people who are starting hospital models, for example, like Equity Avia is giving people opportunity to start their own business through franchise model. There are those who do petrol stations. There are those who do a food business through franchise model. So you don't have even to start your own business, but you can also see an opportunity even where there's a certain product that's being sold, but the market is highly underserved. Then you can equally pursue other paths that are maybe more creative. You can do online lighting, freelancing, artwork. You can also do content creation. Those who are passionate in lighting, they can light books. I want to mention a few issues, and because this is critical, because when you're looking at how to help people to succeed in entrepreneurship, we need to also appreciate why do those, especially now in line with the area of retiree and success in business, why would they not do it? And one of the critical areas is that they don't plan for resources that they need to put in their business, especially the capital. So when there's no sufficient capital, you realize that even the one that you had set out because you're already into it, it gets lost. So it's good for product planning to ensure that you have sufficient resources. And another more critical area is building your capacity through acquisition of knowledge and experience, because you don't go blindly. You don't go blindly. Have the required acumen that you can be able, not very technical, sophisticated market analysis. You can even watch the trend, how people are succeeding. You do some simple financial planning, and also look at the kind of system setup so that you can be able to work on the efficiency that you need, customer service, so that you ensure they come back to the business, and also how you can be able to employ technology and systems that can help to improve efficiency. Another pitfall that retirees who are entrepreneurs fall into is issue of not having capacity to manage the time well. They find themselves because they're not used to, when you're in employment, you work on a structured system that you are supposed to come, you have a specific job description. Every day your task is well planned. You go and do your piece and then you go home. But now when you come to business, now there are a lot of juggling here and there because things are not programmed. So if you don't manage your time around, then you realize that even sometimes you end up losing your valuable time doing things that are not even priority, not adding value to the business. Also, some people who come to business, they have unrealistic goals. It's good to be ambitious, but of course, if you are too aggressive, then you may end up setting yourself for failure and demoralize yourself. Then again, technology has been unnecessary evil because many people have used it to succeed. But of course, if you over-rely on it, and especially a platform like Facebook, whereas that most people who are in business now, they are using it to advertise their business, so there's a salon, those who are selling things like Mambati, those who are selling anything that you find it now online, that people are not much concerned on how, besides how that technological platform, which are the ways that they can easily creatively have serious market initiative that shall keep customer engaged. That personal touch should not be sacrificed at the altar of technology. One thing I would say that because entrepreneurship, as I mentioned earlier, is not just for the weak, we need to have some aspect that you need to appreciate, that if we take them along, they enhance our chances of succeed. And it's important, first of all, you understand yourself well. You as an entrepreneur, you as a retiree, have a matrix of your strengths and weaknesses, and you appreciate how you can be able to start up something, inspire confidence the people they're going to work with, and also continuously develop your business by getting new ideas. So find out where your strength can best fit. If you are comfortable for farming and you love it passionately, then go for that venture and do what it takes. If you know that you're good in lighting, in modeling, in beauty, see where your strengths are, and because if you venture where your strengths are, it also increases your chance of succeed. Another important aspect is that you need to appreciate your market, your customers, because you may have brilliant idea, good products you want to dispense, but of course, if the customers are not out to take your product, then it becomes a challenge. Then also aspect of connection and networking. Most of the business thrive through networks. You don't even have to advertise. Networks through your professional line, through churches, through chamas, through networking, you are able to get also even better ideas. You secure good partnership. There are some people who want, maybe you are in cake business, in those meetings that you go, people want to support your business because you can tell them what you do and also support what they also do. Issue of time management, I mentioned about it. And also it's important that before you dive into this ocean of entrepreneurship, weigh the risks that are involved. You also need to evaluate those risks in advance. You don't have to go, because I say the critical part aspect is you want to preserve your capital, because you have nothing to lose if what is to be lost you are not even invested in the first place. So your role is to preserve your capital. So it's far much better to avoid getting into a trap than going into it and regretting when you're inside it. So it's important that know that this business I want to venture in, what are other both internal and external forces that may come to frustrate us. Maybe there's a government policy that's going to affect us. Like now we have concern about taxation, also in content creation. Yes, it has been a free market. There have been no issue of government regulation. There have been no taxation. But now when the government comes and says that they want to start taxing, then what does that imply? If you are literally want to go to real estate, and then the government say that you want to build the houses for Kenyans, then meaning that that investment they're putting, the payback period may be very long, or even you may not even be able to succeed in what you're doing, simply because there are other regulations that have come that are going to affect the investment. One of the things that I would advise that those who want to really succeed and thrive in this area, that equip yourself with knowledge. Equip yourself with knowledge. There are many, right now because of technology, there are so many free online courses, seminar, there are group networking events, even banks themselves now they are arranging for training for their customers, especially SMEs. See where you can be able to get something that can be able to add more knowledge and skill to help you in your line. Also, do have write down what you want to achieve. Lay that business idea down. You can be able to reflect on it. You can be able to look at it when you're written in black and white. Also, as I mentioned about networking is very critical. Ensure that you have sufficient funding, because you don't have even to rely on your own resources. You can go to get money from the banks, your friends, networks. You can also apply trade credit. You know, there are some goods that you just get from people, go and sell, and then you pay back their money and you earn your profits. And more critical is that you be able to manage your the income, the finances. Know that there's some investment that may need daily cash flow. There's some they are long term, but some that if you're operating a hotel, ensure that what is needed to buy sugar in that hotel, if you don't have money to buy the sugar, and you have all the things in that hotel, even the beautiful chairs, then you're not going to healthy that day. So know that there are things that need to be backloaded through cash every day. Also be able to distinguish your money and money for the business. The money for the business is money for the business. You pay yourself as an owner of business, like a salary, but money that's supposed to run the business, be able to know it's for business. Also distinguish between what is your sale and profit, because if you do a sale of 2,000 and maybe your own margin is 100 shillings and you end up spending a 500 out of that sale, then you're eating on your capital, and that's going to work against you at some point. Of course, be open to innovation. There are many opportunities that are coming now, especially technologically. Also, develop support system. Ensure that even your family is supporting you. You surround with people who believe in you, who are good mentors. Also, mind about your own life. Look at your health. Take time and relax and have fun. Also, learn from others, because it's important that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are people who have gone before you in that same line, and they can really support you with and to build, to better your idea. The issue that you may be struggling with today, somebody has been through that part before and can bring some illumination and light to ideas, and you're going to benefit, and you don't have to struggle for things that is available. Finally, I just want to share a few ideas that individual entrepreneurs can venture into things like farming. You can do tutoring at personal level, even or employing people. And nowadays in towns, people are venturing so much in selling food to office staff. Those who are doing Uber car businesses, YouTube channel. There are those who sell ebooks. There are bloggers who do articles that they're paid for. There's a lot of data entry services, home decor, designing graphic for churches, for events, for politicians, DJing, planting trees, and so on and so forth. You can do tree for fruits and tree for timber, and so on and so forth. One thing I want to mention that you may have passion in one area, but you have to translate to value. that people can see value and pay you back. Passion in itself is not enough, and must have also the right skills to learn that venture successfully. And also, let's have patience. Whatever option you pick, whether it's investment, whether it's setting up a small business, give it time. Watch over it, support it, let it grow, and over time you're going to see the benefit out of it. Of course, keep your eyes fixed on the long-term goal that you set. Yes, break it down for daily activities, but don't lose focus. Even when there are challenges, don't lose focus. I would say that generally, the path that you choose, start early. If you want to invest, start early. If you want to go to entrepreneurship journey, start early. So I want to stop at that point, and I want to invite probably questions, a few that I can be able to answer, where I probably can get some practical insight or practical engagement on the concern that you may have. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll be taking questions for now. Is there anyone with any issue, any concern that you wish to be addressed by our trainer today? You can raise your hand, or you can use the chat box. Okay.
Hello, my hand is raised, but I'm not seeing.
Yes. I've seen Monica. Monica, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. I think it's sobering, especially when you start thinking of things like retirement. So my question is, where can you get market survey of businesses that are doing well and those that are not doing well? Is there a place like, of course you have to keep up to date and all, but which are the articles that would make you be more up to date? Where would you find, information that would help you be able to make a good thinking of what works, what doesn't work? Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, Mr. Masharia, will you be handling one by one as they come, or I will collect them, then you answer at once?
I suggest we just take a few first, and then we answer them at, maybe about 3 or 4. We'll do at once.
Okay, so thank you for that. Now we have Monica's questions. I believe you've noted that. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, now before the trainer handles that one, if you feel like there's something you want to add on something that has been said, or any other question that you feel like you might have that ability to tackle, you have a go ahead. Back to you. Masharia, you can proceed with the Monica's question. As you plan for that, I can see Dennis, if I'm not wrong, is in the chat box. With the current situation, are people really retiring? The government is already telling its staff to do side hustles. These side hustles what some of us are doing on full time, and still the government is making it hard for us to make enough for retirement. All right. So the question is, are people still retiring? Okay. Maybe as the trainer prepares for Monica's question, maybe Monica, if you are still there, you can raise your question back again.
Yeah, my question was basically on market data. Where do you get data on, because if you've not gone into entrepreneurship before and you want to venture into something, say before you go into retirement, where would you get market data? Then also the trainer mentioned, sorry, I don't have the name, but the trainer mentioned that read a lot, do your research, join networks, that kind of thing. I was just wondering which are the best to join, where is the best information that you would get that, and where would you get the best research data, which businesses are doing well, which ones are not doing well, which ones should you venture into, because sometimes you go as a group, like remember quail farming, where everybody went into it, mushrooms or whatever. Where would you get that data? Thank you.
Thank you for that. John, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And sorry,
right.
I think there's at some point I got lost when you're talking about people still retiring. However, I think I can handle this one for Monica. One thing I want to say that, well, there are some points where you can be able to get information, but unfortunately, over 80% of our economy is informal, and that's why people make business. And with that kind of setup, it's very hard, unfortunately, to get the specific data that can guide your idea. Because you look like in Kenya, for example, when you are inviting people who want to come and invest, do foreign direct investment, like from outside the country, they want to set up their business in Kenya, those are heavyweights. They can be able to explore places like Kipra, can invest, and they can get specific information on the kind of venture they want, because they are going to establish industries. But apparently for SMEs and people who are in small business or want to start a business, which is not that capital intensive, unfortunately you have to do the donkey work, because you have to get data by yourself or work with people who are in those specific industry. Because also with the kind of informality of our market, it's also tricky, because not all people who are successful, even in small business, they are doing the business, the clean business. The clean business in quote. There are people who may be doing that business as a decoy, and they're achieving other end. And if you go do like them, you may end up not succeeding, and ask yourself why they're succeeding. They are selling goods at almost the same price they are buying. So you ask yourself, is there any business sense? So what I would suggest is that the best place and area that you can be able to get information outside your circles. Most of the financial institutions today, they are supporting SMEs, and they have people who work together, both internally and externally, who guide entrepreneurs. You have an idea, they have pool of ideas. Those institutions, they even have business club meetings. So if you work closely with the creditors of those banks, for example, out of your initiative, they are going to tell you that no, this sector and this sector and this sector is doing ABCD. Some of them, they have benefit of having inside information from the people who are doing the business themselves. Alternatively, you can hire a consultant in a cheap rate, because today there are so many educated people who are out there and they may not be that busy, a marketing firm just seeking to say that I have this idea, or I have three ideas. I want you to try do a minimal survey for us, and then you see whether it's viable, both short term, medium term, and long term, before you venture into it. Otherwise, most people, unfortunately, do try and error. But if you are keen, because I say the critical thing for anybody, whether you're investing as an individual, chairman, or a company, is to preserve, protect, and preserve your capital. You don't want to go there with your 200,000, then after 6 months, the business is not there and the money is not there. Even it was better when the money was in the account. But of course, you ask yourself, if a farmer is making money by rearing cows, and me, I want to go that venture, I can learn as much as possible from him, because if he's succeeding and I try and I failed, then meaning there's some things I not get light. And if it can succeed, I cannot succeed. So it's important that you make your own initiative to get data or research, work with those suggested institutions like microfinance, some of SACCOs, some of banks that have strategic SMEs portfolio. And most banks are doing today. You can get proper guidance on the idea that you want to do. The other aspect, the other question was whether people are still retiring. It's a complex one. I don't know the best way I can say, but what I'm saying, retiring, whether you're employed by government or not, even those who are in their own business, I said you must plan for your retirement. Sababu hata kama biashara ni yako, hutaishi kufanya biashara milele. There must be as a point whereby you ensure that it has system, it is learning on its own, or you have people who can learn it on your behalf, and wherever you are, you're still benefiting. So retirement, that is, I think, is not an option. You have to retire. However, also I say that it's a dynamic and personal issue, because you look even today, there are some very old judges, there are very old lawyers, there are very old lecturers who are still working, because by the time you are maybe at the age of 16, at that point in time, probably you are at the prime of your career. You don't want just to go home when you have gained so much experience that you can be able to benefit the society. Because whether in business, at the end of the day, is beside making money and profiting, is the kind of also change that you are doing in the wider society. If you run your own small business, the joy that will come is that I'm feeding an extra family out of my initiative. I'm making some small money, but I'm supporting 1 or 2, 3 families by my initiative. So the same thing that people to retire, it's also an option. When you feel that you're adding, you can still add value if you're employed, try to ensure that you have the knowledge that you can go and do probably consulting or even training at that particular time that you are told that now go home and rest. You just, because you are not tired, they have told you you retire, but you're not tired, you can still be active. The issue of governments telling people to have side hustles, I think it's always advice, because honestly, even in our training at our lower schools, we are told one of the characteristics of money is scarce, and it's always be not enough to meet all our needs. We have our needs, we have our wants. So if your salary is meeting only your needs, and you have other wants, things that probably is not a must, but you feel you need to have it, you need to have a good car, you need to have good life, you want to have to go to good holidays, then it means the government is also giving people the right advice. But yes, besides working for us, you have a lot of capacity. You have latent capacity. You are not using it in our office, that you can help you also establish something else. And when you're doing that also, you're helping the government. In another way, saying, go and do a Uber. When you do Uber, imagine like 200,000 employees in the government learning Uber, then you help government to create about 200,000 jobs, which is one of the role of the government to create employment for so many people in this country. So I would say that it goes down to your perspective, but it's important that also be responsible and also be objective and also be not candid per se, but be pragmatic. Yes, I want to retire at age of 40, at age of 60. I have personal experience because when I was used to work in investment banking, at some point, I decided to leave that job when I was actually the regional manager in Coast at age of 35, because that was the highest level I could have gone in that branch, and probably in that region, what probably could have done, I could have been taken to Nairobi. But because I did not feel like I need to be in that job. I want to use my time and potential doing other things. I was in class pursuing my PhD program. I was training also at Kenya Store Management. I was doing some consulting work with some government agencies. I felt this. I put my resignation letter. I left so that I can be able to optimize my opportunity. My potential. So, issue of retiring, personal decision is not government decision. Thank you.
Well, that was enlightening. Thank you. I believe there are no other questions. I hope those questions were addressed very well. Thank you. Now, we want to end the webinar, and I want to thank you, everyone who have attended, who have participated, and even to you, the trainer. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your efforts and your expertise that you've decided to enlighten us with. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give anyone with anything to add, including the trainer today. If you have anything that you want to leave these people with, the attendees, what they can add to whatever you've said before, it is going to be your time. Otherwise, after that, you'll feel free to leave the webinar. And thank you for attending today's webinar.
Convener. I think you can pin them also. Those who want to reach out to me, I'll be there to support. Otherwise, may God bless you. I really appreciate it. Asante.
All right, thank you. So someone is asking about the certificates link. That one will be sent to your emails. Don't worry. And then, okay, thank you, Monica. All right, thank you. You have a good day.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Right.